Hello, Atlas Orthodontics and Holistic Orthodontics family. I'm Dr. Alex, and I'm here with my lovely wife, Cristina. Welcome to our channel.
Thank you so much. Happy to be here.
I'm so excited. Today, we wanted to take some time to share about some of our history here at Atlas Orthodontics. Namely, we want to talk about the fire that we had here in 2023.
Yeah, it was about 2 years ago, a little more than 2 years ago.
Yeah, November 5th, 2023, to be precise.
Can you set the scene for us? What happened that morning?
So on November 5th, so this was the day of daylight savings time when the hour fell back. So it was probably, I think it was right around 5 o'clock in the morning, really early, maybe before 5 o'clock, where the notification alarm started to go off on my phone. My initial instinct was like, it's just gonna stop, I'm gonna go to sleep, but you said...
I actually nudged him in bed. I said, turn off your phone. There's some alarm going off on your phone. And then he went to go turn it off, but realized that it was different. Right?
Yeah, it was one of these notifications where I had it set on sleep mode and I don't get it, but this was like a critical notification that came through, and it was from our smoke detectors in the office. We have smoke detectors that are wired into the security system, and I was getting a notification there. So I immediately went and I saw that there was, the smoke detector was going off, and then we have cameras in the office, so I pulled up the office cameras and I kind of went through, and I saw that there was smoke in our team room. So once I was done checking the cameras, I immediately ran out the door and I got in my truck and I drove over here. So I think when I looked back and I saw from the moment that I got the notification to the moment that I was here on site was less than 5 minutes. Like literally, I was here within 5 minutes. I was the first one here. There was no fire department. Of course, on the way over, I'm calling 911 and I'm making sure that the legit fire department is coming. And I actually found out that they were already on their way because our security company had notified them. Anyway, I get here, there's no one here, and something you should never do is run into a burning building when you're not qualified to handle a burning building. So that's not my professional qualification, but that was my instinct. I ran in, and there was, at this point, the whole office was full of smoke. You couldn't really see. And my thought was, okay, there's a fire in our team room. I'm gonna grab the fire extinguisher. I'm gonna go to the team room and I'm gonna put it out. Well, I grabbed the fire extinguisher and I'm doing all the, pulling the pin and getting it all ready to go as I'm running over to the team room. I get to the team room and there is no fire. There's no flames. It's just smoke billowing into the team room from our next door neighbor, the coffee shop, and that's where the fire actually was. So meanwhile, I go outside, I come outside, immediately the fire trucks coming in and they're trying to figure out how to get into the coffee shop. So the firefighters had to cut a hole in the roof to get, I guess for the fire to vent properly and also to get the water in there. Well, they're pumping untold gallons of water into the roof, and what that's doing, yeah, it's putting out the fire, but then what actually happened is that the water traveled along the roof the whole length of that building and was inundating that whole and flooding this whole side of the building. So even though there was no heat or fire that penetrated into our office or the dentist office next door to us, there was just a ton of water and a bunch of smoke and soot that was coming through. I mean, it smelled really, really terrible. So while the firefighters were doing that, I was standing out front. There was a police officer who was kind of essentially monitoring me because I had wanted to go back in. I wanted to get stuff. I wanted to open the doors, and they're like, no, you can't go in there. And the police officer was just like monitoring me outside and making sure that I wasn't gonna do anything crazy. So I'm on the phone calling the other neighbors here at the center, at the Autumnwood Center, talking to them, trying to also get warm. At this point, I mean, I'm just in a t-shirt and I'm wearing flip-flops, so I'm freezing cold. It's really, really cold.
It's like 40 degrees.
Yeah, it was a very cold morning, and I was very emotional at this point. I was just really not sure how to feel. I was feeling scared. I was feeling overwhelmed. I mean, at this point, I'm thinking, they're gonna put this fire out and we're gonna have a whole day of cleanup. This is Sunday morning, or it's gonna be a whole day of cleanup, and then Monday we're gonna have to figure out how to be able to see our patients. That's what's going through my mind as the firefighters are putting out the fire.
Meanwhile, I was at home praying that he wouldn't be hurt and running through this building, because I knew he would be going in trying to help. And so I was grateful that everything was fine. But also, like he said, we didn't know what the consequences of this fire would be and how long it would impact our patients and our team and us, of course. Okay, so tell me a little bit more about what happened the rest of that Sunday, and then following on Monday and Tuesday. I think those were our first 3 big days, and how did we move forward past this?
One of the blessings in this whole situation is that all of our patient data, it's not stored here on site in our office. All the scheduling information, pictures, x-rays, all that stuff is off-site. It's in the cloud, and we can access it from anywhere. So we were able to get our laptops. We were able to get some laptops together. We were able to call our patients and cancel the patient appointments for Monday. That was one of the first things we did that day. Is I had some people on our team that I called on to go ahead and reschedule, call and just cancel appointments. And then I was working here with a remediation company that was kind of like working on actually mitigating the damage as much as possible. So they were cleaning up moisture. They had fans in the office once the firefighters were done and we were allowed in. One of the things that was a big deal initially was that we had to cut the power, so there was no electricity. The power was cut, so we had no electricity inside the office. Had to set up generators out back so we could run the fans and all these things that needed to happen, lights and so on. And that was that first day, and pretty much had to walk away at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and go home and eat something and try to take a nap and rest and try to collect my thoughts about what to do next. So the next day in the morning, we didn't have patients. We kind of were thinking, okay, we're going to go in and try to salvage things that we could salvage. That was like a big part. Went through the office, pretty much unloaded anything that was salvageable and moved it into our garage. We moved out our vehicles, and
I was at home frantically making space and trying to create a admin space for our team to move into that week, and just really adapting to our situation. And I have to say that Dr. Alex was an amazing leader through all of this. Even though he was experiencing a lot of emotions, I'm sure himself, he was like a duck. You know, you're swimming really hard under the water, but he was really calm. And I think that was a really big highlight, I think, for me, that stood out, to see you lead the team with so much just confidence and grace and security, even in the midst of a very uncertain situation. And so I really appreciated that leadership.
So I want to also thank you so much for being so supportive, and I couldn't have done what I needed to do during those days and months without having a really strong support and just encouragement. And you never lost your cool, but that was a really big deal for me. Another really big deal was just the community support. We were standing out here in front of the office. There was smoke billowing out. I think might have even been flames. And I was standing out there with my friend, Dr. Greider, who's my neighbor at the dentist office next door, and his wife, Kelly, was there. And we were just kind of standing in front of the office looking in. They had a separate office that they weren't using. It was a completely vacant dental office. And they were talking about how they were going to start seeing their patients at their other office on Church Street. And so they were talking about that, and then Kelly turns to me and says, we're going to be seeing our patients from 7 to 3. After that, the office is yours if you want to use it. And I just, at that moment, I felt like that's when I knew that it was going to be okay, that our patients were going to be taken care of, that we were going to be able to continue operating. And it was really because of the relationships, because my wife, she was going to stand by me no matter what, and she was going to help me and encourage me. And then my friends and my neighbors shared what they had with me. They could have very easily said, hey, we're going to be there all day and all night seeing our patients, but they shared what they had. And that gave me a lot of hope. That's what happened that day. The next day we were salvaging things. We were bringing stuff home, trying to store it in our garage so we could have access to supplies and materials and equipment. And then we went down to Church Street to the temporary office and kind of scoped that out. we saw what it had to offer and what it was like, and we started to kind of figure out how we would be able to piece together a temporary office for our patients. So Sunday is when the fire happened. Monday and Tuesday we were salvaging things. Wednesday we were up and running in the evening, seeing our patients in the afternoon. So 3:30 we were together with a team. We were praying, and I remember trying to pray, and I just broke down, like right there, that first day before we saw our first patient in the temporary office. I mean, I was just weeping. I don't know. I mean, I probably scared the team because they'd never seen me like that.
So he doesn't normally cry. He's not a super emotional person, but I think it was probably just, appropriate way to just express the magnitude of what was happening, and I think they probably were feeling the same way. So
I think it was I really felt like the team, when they saw me like that, I really felt so supported by them and so loved and understood, and I felt like they were really sacrificing. They were, it's one thing for me, it's my office, my business, to be the one sacrificing, but for them to come around me and adjust their schedule, where we were doing admin things in the afternoon, and then in the evening we were seeing patients up until 8:30, 9 o'clock in the evening, and then leaving at 9 o'clock. I think for them to come alongside and do that, make that sacrifice, was a really big deal. It was really special for me to see that. None of them jumped ship. They all stayed with me the whole time. They were loyal to me and to each other and to the patients and their families, and that was a really beautiful thing to see. And that was very emotional. And then, in the months to come, we kept seeing the patients in the temporary office every night. That was at night. And then in the mornings, I would be over here working with the construction crews, getting the place rebuilt, essentially. We had to strip the office all the way down to the studs, redo the floor, ceiling, walls, almost everything in between, all new equipment, mostly new equipment. Everything that got soot on it had to be replaced, because anything electronic especially. So that's what happened. And then 6 months later, by the grace of God, we were able to come back and reopen the practice. I think May 5th, exactly to 6 months to the day.
6 months to the day, that's right. Meanwhile, I had a newborn baby back at home. So there was a lot going on both at home and at the office. So this was a very demanding time in our family's life, and I'm just so grateful to look back and see God's faithfulness. So we'll tell you more about that in part 2.